Focus on the government response to the blizzard of 2022. Today, we turn our attention to local small business owners and how they're coping in the aftermath of the deadly storm and then all the problems that ensued. Buffalo Common Council member Rasheed Wyatt hosted a town hall earlier today, meeting with business owners in the University District, which he represents. And Councilman Wyatt joins us now live to talk about this. Councilman, good to see you as always. I know some of those businesses have been slow to reopen or maybe haven't been able to reopen after the storm yet at all. What did you hear from them today and what kind of help is available to them?
Well, Michael, I heard some of the similar themes that we heard during the pandemic, that there were issues before the pandemic, there were issues before the blizzard, and there are still issues, and the issues are more pronounced now because some of these businesses aren't going to reopen because of the struggle. And it speaks to a larger issue that we really have to start focusing on. How do we make these businesses whole pre-pandemic? Because the blizzard only exposed it even more. And so many of these businesses don't have the wherewithal or the technical assistance to receive grants and funding and those types of things. And it speaks to us really doing a better job at reaching the small businesses. I know so many times we tout assisting in small business development, especially in minorities communities. This storm exposed that we're not doing a good enough job and we have to do better. And I think hearing from these businesses spoke to that issue. And that's why it was so important to me. As we talk about the blizzard, our response, we're hearing from residents. Well, this time I really wanted to hear from businesses, and they gave me an earful.
Yeah, we had the actual storm itself, and then a big problem turned out to be the businesses that were looted. Buffalo police have made dozens of arrests in connection with that. I know today we don't have the sound here, but I'll share part of the quote. Heaven Sent Community Barbershop on Kensington Avenue. The owner there was talking about some of the break-ins and stuff. Let's listen to what that owner had to say.
I was wondering if we could figure out some way somehow to help businesses get some sort of pull-down system. I noticed that a lot of these guys got in through knocking out a window, through kicking in a door. So for people that can't afford it, how do we get a grant? How do we get support enough to be able to get the system that rolls down, that'll protect us and protect our properties?
What did you make of that question in particular, and then sort of the overall feedback in terms of the looting that happened to so many small businesses?
Well, Michael, unfortunately, that was a conversation that we've had numerous times with other businesses. And to be quite honest, I kind of shied away from it because many in the community felt that this was making our community look unsafe. But now after this happened, we have to do a better job in assisting these businesses. So what Lonnie brought up was a very fair point. As a matter of fact, to be quite honest, Permits and Inspections is working on this right now. They're trying to get away from the bar look and maybe these pull downs. And so I received that question, and again, look at how do we assist working with some of these federal funds to assist these businesses in making them whole. This blizzard really exposed a lot of our ills and really making an impact with small businesses, especially on the east side in our neighborhoods. This is something that, again, hearing from these businesses and continue to elevate and elevate their voices into a larger conversation with our federal and state officials is really timely and very important. So I noticed the blizzard kind of exposed it, but hearing from these businesses, it was something that was happening even before that.
And obviously the looters represented a very small portion of Western New York, and so many people acted heroically, but there were a lot of small businesses that were impacted and hurt because of that looting. So finally, then let me ask you, today you have this town hall, right? You get this feedback, you hear from the folks firsthand. What happens next for you and your office as you move forward?
Well, I know some of my colleagues have sent letters to Senator Schumer and our federal delegation about some of the needs regarding small businesses. And so I'm going to be standing right along with them to address this issue. But I think I'm armed with a little greater information, hearing from businesses themselves. And so I'm looking forward to that dialogue and that conversation to make something happen real. One of the businesses that talked to me today is not going to reopen. That's the sad part of this process, is that they had problems beforehand, and this problem now really kind of sealed the deal and closed their doors, and that's the unhappy part about this. But that speaks to us doing more as far as working with businesses, using some of these ARP dollars to assist businesses, especially those small businesses don't have the wherewithal, the technical assistance. We got to do a better job at making sure that they're successful when they open.
It is such a multi-pronged issue in dealing with the aftermath of this storm, right? We've talked about the government response, obviously with these small businesses. You and the rest of the council members and the administration certainly have a lot on your plate. We'll continue to follow it. Councilman Rasheed Wyatt is with the University District. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.